Off to the bottom right-hand side of the map, our blue Zerg player from ENCE Esports. This is Serral. Up against the red Zerg player in the top left-hand side from Go Esports, we've got ourselves Elazer. Game one of this best of three as we kick off and look to see what's going to be happening. Rail and Showtime eliminated from the competition. Showtime, definitely not one I was expecting to see in that bottom two of the group, but has had a bit of a tough time lately. Obviously doesn't seem to be the Showtime that we know and love that seems to be so indestructible a lot of the time. As we get this ready to go. Reno is guaranteed first place in the group now. And hence he is guaranteed at least second place in the overall WCS Winter, which is obviously a pretty huge deal. That's at least $8,000 that he is guaranteed. At least $8,000 that he's won himself. That's actually huge for Reno. Really well done by him. We'll see if he can go 7-0 in the group as well. He's playing his final series on the mainstream against Hero Marine. As we do see Hatch Gas and Pool openings here on Cyber Forest for Elazer and Serral. Elazer has been playing fairly aggressively as of late, using a lot of Nidus networks in his play. Just going to be seeing the Hatch Gas and Pool coming up here from him then, and we'll see if he wants to throw some curveballs in this series. A series that, again, can be real important for him. It's the difference for him going 4-3 or 3-4, but it's the difference of stopping Serral going from 5-2 and being 4-3 himself. And it means that if Elazer wins this, he could potentially overtake Serral in the group and get that higher seed and guarantee himself one round further into the main competition. Main playoffs are going to happen April 6th and 7th, by the way, guys. Make sure you tune in for that. As we are going to be seeing Overlord coming down to the bottom right-hand side. And the Overlord to the top left. Early game scouting as the initial Queens get started. Ling Speed is on the way up here from Serral in the main base as well. We'll see if Elazer plans the same as he hits 100 gas right now, or if he's going to try and bypass that. It is one of these maps where that very narrow ramp, Rotron and an Evo Chamber can definitely wall this area off. As we are getting this set to go. Ling Speed coming in here from Serral on that main base, so getting that up and running. It is going to be a super fast lair from Elazer, so already looking to try and sell the idea of, I'm just going into a normal Roach play, but actually with the lair this fast, Nidus Network definitely could be something to watch out for. And this Evo Chamber wall off, kind of sell the idea of maybe just regular Roaches. Intrigued that he puts the lair on the natural. Feels like a Ling or two up here could very easily see that. As we are going to be seeing the Rotron. On the way up, +1 missile attack is going to start, but that's something that Elazer might not truly commit into here. Just that idea. Something we saw Lambo doing against Serral as well, that kind of fake out of, hey, look at me. I'm building +1 missiles. I'm definitely macroing. Don't you worry about anything else. As we see a couple of Queens in the wall off there, able to turn those two Zerglings around and away. So those two Zerglings getting pushed down into the center of the map. Roach speed will begin here from Elazer. A couple of Roaches on the way up, and the Overlord about to pop out of the main base. As we do see these couple of Queens continuing to press forwards, dealing some good damage to these Zerglings. Third hatchery from Serral on the way down now. And we are just going to be seeing the Overlords continue to come out. Quite a few Roaches from Serral on the way as well, who has also, by the way, cancelled his Ling speed and gone straight into +1 missiles. I'm actually intrigued that Elazer didn't go Nidus. It definitely felt like a bit more of a Nidus setup, but it truly was actually just to go straight into a really fast Roach speed here. I mean, building only Overlords and Roaches right now on 33 workers is still extremely aggressive, right? So while it's not a Nidus, Elazer is still going for some kind of a Roach aggressive build. Serral, though, is responding perfectly to it. A supply block, though, is going to be slightly painful. He sets himself with a Spine Crawl on the natural, making sure he'll be able to defend. Elazer does start up a third hatchery, much later than obviously the one that Serral has, which is already finished down on this low ground. Obviously, Elazer will not move out until Roach speed is done, and that'll be done very shortly. But again, we're talking about Elazer. Sure, he's making a lot of units, but he's been on so few workers compared to Serral for a while. Serral is now starting to drone up, though, and that could be his downfall here. Rather than continue to build Roaches, some extra drones coming in Here we go. Roach is starting to come forwards, and maybe Serral has been fooled a little bit as to what this is going to be. Queen's coming forwards as well. Looks as though they will try and continue to walk across the map, using some of the overlords to spread some creep, so the Queens will get those little boosts of speed at points to come across and reinforce even faster. Well, now Serral, he's still got drones in production. He's up to 50 workers here, and he is absolutely outnumbered with no +1 missiles for a moment or two as well. He didn't have that in the fight. And Serral is just going to... Whoa! Straight up type GG. Doesn't even try to fight it. He just knows he's made too many drones, and he gets punished for it just like that. Elazer picks up game number... Watch the load screen, shall we? As we go into this and see what will happen. To the top right-hand side, down a game. Our blue Zerg player. This is NC Sports Serral. And the bottom left-hand side, our red Zerg player. We've got Elazer, whose roach timing was enough to grab the first game of the series. Let's see what's going to happen here. Once again, Serral definitely a little bit off counter, off from what we expect him to be here in this event. And again, there has been some mentions of Serral being ill. He's mentioned on Twitter he was sick before he went to WSG. Apparently he was still sick when he got back, and maybe that's still something that's affecting him here, maybe affecting his practice as well. I mean, we can theorize and we can say all we want. The reality is Serral is losing more than just maps in this tournament. He is losing series, he's losing without winning maps in series. And again, these are just things that we have to, for Serral, criticize, because Serral has been that godlike of a player that losing more than a map in a series is like, whoa! What did you do with Serral? Is this the real Serral in the here? It's just how good he is, kind of obviously brings around harsh criticism. Where he does start to lose out a little bit. Alright, well, as we get this going, Serral will be mining away at a little bit of gas here. Apparently it's impossible for Serral to finish 5th place in the round robin. Is it though? If Elazer can finish above Serral, I think he can finish 5th, right? Because Drogo wins his series, he's 5-2, Serral would be 4-3. Elazer would be 4-3 on a better map score. And Hero Marine could be 5-2 as well if he beats Raynor. So it is definitely possible for Serral to finish in 5th place. He can finish in anywhere other than 6th and 1st at the minute. I believe he can even still finish maybe 2nd place if Raynor beats Hero Marine and then he wins here against Elazer, although every map he loses does not exactly help with that, because it will come down to map score a little bit. Anyways, we'll leave the round robin guessing games and predictions for later. After this series, we'll have a bit more solid information as to what will happen when certain players finish their matches. That's obviously pretty good info to have. A couple of lings heading down to the bottom left-hand side. Baneling Nest starts up from Serral in the natural expansion. Baneling Nest on each side of the map. Gonna see a few lings of Serral chasing down that single ling right there. A couple lings coming out the front. And we do see the Baneling Nest dropping down on each side as we see the Zerglings continue coming through. Third hatchery dropping down. So this time Elazer playing a bit more of a standard game, playing a bit of a Ling Bane opening. A few Zerglings already starting to run out the front here. Zerglings from Serral coming down the bottom left side. He's behind a few drones, so with these Banes that are morphed in, he's really looking to try and deal some damage here. Couple of Zerglings nibbling away on that hatchery. Baneling connects on a few Zerglings at the front. More Lings and Banes going to start darting towards the natural expansion. Couple more Banes finishing up. Queen's able to deal some damage. And you do see those Zerglings of Serral. It's not really doing much in the main. We'll get a surround on the Queen, but his Banes, oh my god, had a moment to maybe do something there, but maybe can't do enough. Still got Lings from Serral in the main, finding the surround. Elazer a little bit lackluster here of the defense. Definitely had more units to deal with this but we didn't have them in position, and Serral was getting way more out of this than he should have done. Still ends up down in workers, though, and that sort of shows just how well prepared Elazer was. Despite the damage taken, Elazer survives with a worker lead, more workers than Serral in production. And Elazer will start up the lair while Serral decides to go straight into that +1 missile upgrade. Lings and Banes from Serral. Starting to move forwards a little bit there. One more Ling from Serral down to the bottom side. A Queen could potentially deal some damage. Ling will take a couple of shots for the moment. Good scouting for Serral, of course. Just makes it up to the main. Did you see the lair? He did. So real good scouting for Serral. Sees the timings of what his opponent is going for here in these early stages. Again, Roach dropping down on each side of the map. Those Zerglings moving into the middle here as well. Lair on the way up. Pneumatized Carapace currently building from Elazer. And +1 missiles coming through as well. These Zerglings just continuing to run around, going to continue in towards the upper right side. More Zerglings of Elazer just coming back. Still trying to deal with this scout. Serral still wants to know what's going on. Because at this stage, you could potentially, as the lair finishes, be looking towards a Spire, for example. So these continued Ling Scouts are very important. That's a Dropper Lord setting up. And I do wonder, this side of the map as well, it feels like he's going to pick up maybe some Queens and bring them across with a Roach attack. Or he just picks up some Roaches on this side of the map as well and just slowly takes them across the map. Rather than kind of picking up Roaches on as they run to the other side. Pneumatized Carapace is on the way up from Serral, so he's also going to have that Overlord speed shortly. As that Overseer from Elazer already with the Pneumatized Carapace upgrade goes darting in to the main base. So Overseer darts through into the natural expansion. And we are just going to be seeing, well, the Pneumatized Carapace coming through. Roach speed is a pretty passive game. Serral just going up to 4 bases, as is Elazer. I mean, we saw Serral doing this sort of style against Lambo earlier, and he looked pretty dominant. Obviously, in that game, he got his hand forced a little bit in towards a Hydra Den to respond to the Spire play. In this game, it's unlikely he'll, well, go into the Hydras and Lurkers as quickly, unless a Spire comes down from a laser that he scouts. Much more typical for him to just continue building Roach Ravager for a while, as both players start with the +2 missile upgrade. Some Lings and Roaches starting to press forwards in towards the 4th. A little bit more set up over here from Serral as well. Lings, Roaches, Banes. Ready to defend as the Elazer going to continue coming across the map. On 67 workers, this is nothing like an all-in or anything. The Elazer's taking a 4th base. It's just that stage of the game where you want to build Roaches and Ravagers because there's not much else for you to build. This Dropper Lord in the main base finally arrives, and we haven't seen any of the action from this already, but now we will. Queen already going to get picked off, and those Roaches from Elazer will have to lift up and leave. Over here, the Overlord actually goes down. A couple of Banes get 4 drones, despite the Spore Crawler killing the Overlord pretty quickly. Alright, well, 9 more Roaches on the way up here from Elazer. Serral's supply is down and hurting, though. 144, and supply blocks. It's actually kind of a big deal, of course. Elazer is up 119 to 75 army. I don't even know where this advantage has come from. I mean, Serral's not investing into a huge amount of extra upgrades, like he's getting a Carapace upgrade, but that's about it in terms of difference. It's just that Elazer has throughout the game, we mentioned those few extra drones earlier. It's just maintained that little bit of an eco lead, and so Elazer's consistently had more, and over time, it's just started to mean a little bit more army in his hands, and Elazer maxed out is looking for a fight that could definitely go his way, and if it does, he could be 2-0 in Serral here. Here we go, Roaches and Ravagers engaging from Serral. He's got a decent concave, but so does Elazer. He doesn't have to worry about the first files, now dodges back. Serral dodges as well. Good micro to split his units away at the right moment. Couple corrosive files do connect though. Now the corrosive file means that Elazer has to back off, and a couple more as well. And Serral seems to be having the overwhelming numbers here maybe. And Ravagers in the back are really dealing that little bit of extra damage that the Roaches do. Lings are going to start coming in from Elazer though. And a flank in from the right hand side certainly. The replacements here from Elazer will turn the tides, and Serral has to start backing away once again. But Serral's reinforcements are here, and Elazer move command some Roaches to go and finish off this base, but he won't get it. It will stay alive, and Serral will hold on as Elazer has to back away. We'll grab another Baneling or 2 perhaps. He needs his reinforcements here. He's got to drop back in the main base. The queen will go down. Serral does not have the chance to respond to this yet, but Elazer cannot fight here without roaches in front of the Ravagers. Needs to keep backing away for the moment, and Serral will again be holding on, but is taking damage because there's roaches in the main hunting down that queen. It will go down. Maybe a couple drones here as well, or he can just lift up and save some of those roaches. He's got this large attack on the bottom side. Elazer still holding the 30 supply lead. Ready to push forwards here. The Roaches and Ravagers starting to fight through. Corrosive Bile dropping. Serral has a good amount of Ravagers in the background. That means more Biles. It means more damage output in this army. But is it enough? Corrosive Biles nearly connected. He has Elazer backs away after killing the 4th base. Maybe just wants to go and recuperate for a moment or two. But Serral pounces and he will kill many of these Roaches. And Serral will push Elazer back to the bottom side of the map. Elazer left with only a Dropper Lord that's empty in the main base. But he did kill off this 4th base, and Serral holds on. Down a base, though, and maybe that gives Elazer enough to rebuild and to just remax that little bit faster once again. Let's find out, because Elazer is already getting ready to go one more time. Roaches pushing over to the right side. He did load up a few more Roaches over here. Immediately coming into this main base, and he is going to jump on a Roach or two, outnumbering 4 to 3. By the way, as well, worth mentioning, Elazer has a Carapace upgrade that Serral does not. The Carapace upgrade difference is pretty huge. As Serral, by the way, 11 Ravagers still against the 3 of Elazer. That alone is a huge difference. That's so many more Biles, so much more micro capability in this army of Serral. Elazer is going to jump on this, though. If he can break through those Roaches and get on top of the Ravagers, they are going to die very quickly. So that's something to keep in mind. Roaches still in the main base harassing as well. A couple more Corrosive Biles dropping down. Roaches and Ravagers here from Elazer. Going to want to split up maybe. Couple of Corrosive Biles do not connect just yet. And Elazer starting to press on through. Another couple of Biles missing on both sides. Serral is going to hold on, using this hatchery as well, just to kind of sit here and to kind of choke Elazer up if he pushes too far forwards. I think Elazer has to be careful now. Units that were protecting the 3rd base come in from Serral, although now he's going to have to send something back because he is losing a couple of drones. Elazer's getting Tunneling Claws. He got Burrow before, but he didn't get the Tunneling Claws. So you can't burrow underneath, and that would really increase his harassment potential with these Roaches that are running around the bases. 8 drones killed here as Elazer positions and poises himself for another attack here in the center of the map. Just impressed with how many Ravagers Serral has, and I really think that's got to be scary. Snipes an Overlord in movement, though. That's never easily done. Good position in there as Elazer looking to wrap around from 2 different sides, get a full surround on this army perhaps. Has to time it well though, and actually Serral already splits away a huge army to this left-hand side. Elazer will not be able to fight this here. Good Corrosive Biles coming down. Serral sitting on top of the ramp, and now Elazer again pushed back, unable to really do much, and he kind of just has to wait for Tunneling Claws. I feel that investment he's not really getting anything out of at the moment. Good Biles there, finds 2 Overlords. What a position to throw the Biles down in. Best position he could have gotten. Elazer needs to be careful because he's kind of getting surrounded. You can see Serral wanting to go for this. He needs to be careful it doesn't happen a little bit too quickly, though. The army on the right side is not quite here, so Elazer just pouncing on the army on the left. Corrosive Biles to slow down the army on the right. Elazer actually splits to fight on 2 different sides, but he's heavily outnumbered on the bottom. He will run out the fight on the top for a moment or two. Roaches coming in to reinforce, but he's chasing down the Ravagers. Meanwhile, the Ravagers of Elazer chase down on the bottom side as well. Serral pushing forwards and able to pick off a lot of these units. On the top, Elazer pressing forwards too, going to come straight in towards this 3rd base, and this is maybe a chance for him to deal some damage here before reinforcements come out, but I think the reinforcements are getting here fast enough. While Serral's army across the map is continuing to press through, suddenly Elazer has tons of money that he's not spending. He doesn't have the lava that he needs to spend that money. Using the Tunneling Claws now to burrow underneath. And maybe that is just the difference right here, that Elazer has just been missing a couple of injects, and so he can't keep up with the production of Serral. He's obviously traded a bit worse as well, which doesn't help. I say a bit worse. Look at that, a 5,000 resource difference. That's actually crazy. What a turnaround from Serral. We talked about how this game was definitely in Elazer's favor. Still is when it comes to economy. Serral's lost so many more workers. But look at them army graphs. You can see that Elazer is taking worst fight after worst fight after worst fight here. And that's obviously really going to start affecting him now. It doesn't matter if you have more economy. If you don't mine enough for how badly you're trading, at the end of the day, your opponent's going to max out. And again, we talk about the quality of these armies. It's actually not as much as it used to be. There's only 8 Ravagers aside now, compared to what was a huge lead from Serral before. This is a nice catch from Elazer, but then all of a sudden you realize that Serral's actually got a full concave of units on this bottom side, and also is counter-attacking across the map, grabbing some reinforcements already. Elazer does have an army down here to deal with this. Serral very smartly pulls away. getting out of there. Roach is actually still doing quite a bit from Elazer, getting even more drones, picking off some roaches as well, just trying to trade as efficiently as they can. Obviously in a straight up fight they're not going to do so well. A few roaches already peeling away towards the third base. As these roaches get up to the main, a queen would be a good target, shut down lava production. Maybe get Serral to have some of the same problems which Elazer is having. As Elazer losing drones now as well, a force of roaches from Serral uncounted over here, as we do see though the roaches and Ravagers able to jump on a fight on this fourth base. And actually for a moment or so Elazer will be winning this, but I feel it's only a matter of time before Serral's army does show up, because he's got an army. It's just over in the main dealing with that run by that we saw. It's taking a little while for Elazer to be dealt with though. Serral finally coming in right now, is going to be able to push this away. Serral with the 131 to 90 army supply. It's just a matter of having the confidence to push across the map and to fight this. Good corrosive battles actually from Elazer, but Serral, he only sits in those because he wants to go across the map and end this game, because he knows the advantage that he has. Roaches and Ravagers pressing to the bottom side of the map. Another hide burst on the way up from Serral, as he has been sent into that hide den behind this, just in case of a muteless tech switch. On the left-hand side, Roaches going to be able to still find another couple of units here. Serral with the larger force now, going to start pressing forwards in a game that Elazer had the advantages in. He wasn't able to trade well enough, and so Serral, great fights, great control. And this is the Serral we know and we love. When he's in a tough position and looks as though he's actually about to lose a game, he turns it around, he finds a way. I mean, ZvZ, he really is able to excel at his multitasking, his dodging of Roach Ravager battles. You can see right now, just in this fight here, he is absolutely crushing through the forces of Elazer. His Ravagers stay very safe. Some reinforcements getting into the back lines already. He is elsewhere killing a bunch of drones as well. 16 workers going down for Elazer as Serral collapses in on the Ravagers of his opponent. He dodges away from the bars for a moment or two. Maybe he has to back away from reinforcements and wait for his own. But again, Serral has killed off the fourth base, and that is a huge deal, as across the map these couple of roaches of Elazer do not find any damage just yet, and it feels like Serral truly has this one under control. A battle kills a roach, and with that Elazer will tap out of the game. GG. Serral ties it up 1-1 in this best of 3. On the top right hand side, our blue Zerg tying it up 1-1 with a very impressive hold and some crazy micro to continue on. We have Serral on the top right-hand side, while on the top left, our red Zerg player is Elazer. He's got to be feeling like, God damn, I was so far ahead. What went wrong for me? How do I even fix that? Thank you, by the way, to Fakazm, who was in with a Twitch Prime sub during that last game or so. Thank you so much for the Twitch Prime, dude. Thank you for supporting the channel. Much appreciated. That's the early game here. Nothing too crazy to get this started off. Just pretty regular stuff in the first few moments. Love that game number 2. I mean, everything you kind of want from a Serral game. The moment where it's like, he's actually gonna die! He's actually over! And it's like Dragon Ball, you know, anime sort of levels that come back. It's like, but wait! He's Serral! He always finds a way! And then Serral starts glowing in like, I don't know, like white and blue because he's Finnish, and all of a sudden he like levels up to like StarCraft 2 God mode, and he's like, I will not die. And Elazer's like, wait, but I've got every advantage in the world. Boom! He just blows up, dies. That's how I imagine it. It's what you expect from Serral though, right? When he's losing, he finds amazing ways back into games. He plays his way back from terrible situations, and that was that. It may not have been a terrible situation, but it was a bad situation. He was 170 supply to 200. Yeah, he had a Carapace upgrade, but it wasn't looking pretty, and Elazer was all over the place. He was macroing and microing here and there and everywhere, and Serral kept his nerve. He kept on defending. In the end, came out on top. Absolutely incredible. I mean, the thing is as well, when you see that moment where Serral loses the third base, and it's like, well, or the fourth base, sorry, and it's like, well, Elazer did what he needed to do here, right? Kill the fourth, go back home, rebuild a little bit with that, and then go again. And then Serral still holds on. You're like, wait, what? Crazy. I mean, the fourth base isn't super influential at that stage because you're still mining pretty fully off of the free bases. So it doesn't give you much extra income, but it definitely helps for the lava when you have them larger roach numbers. In the end, it was the lava that actually ended up hurting Elazer more than it hurt Serral. Crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff in that game number 3. As we set ourselves up, game number 2. Set ourselves up for game 3 here. With 3 hatches on each side. Bane and Nest already on the way up as well. A very large map is year 0, so pretty standard to see Ling and Bane as the initial setup here. for the first few moments. Of course, Serral can finish 5th place in this group. If he loses to Elazer, he can definitely finish 5th. I'm not sure if it still happens if he's taken a map, but Drogo did win his series against Showtime, so if Serral loses, he is going to finish below Drogo. If he wins, he will finish above Drogo on map score, and then he can still finish in 2nd place. So that's a huge difference. 2nd place versus 5th place. I mean, 6th versus 5th, that's 5 series to win the tournament. If you finish 2nd place, you have to win 2 series to win the tournament. It's crazy the difference this one series actually makes right here. It could be make or break for Serral in terms of how much he has to play in that playoff, and obviously the more you have to play, the more likely it is you lose. Lair on the way up here from Elazer in the main, so I wouldn't say that's too crazy, of course. +1 missiles is already coming up, and Serral I would expect to start a Lair very shortly as well, and there it is. The lane bane never really transpired into much, just a few Zerglings here and there, so that both players could feel safe and, you know, support themselves safely on free bases. But other than that, it looks like it's going to be about Roaches, Ravagers, and just going straight up in towards upgrades, etc. We're just kind of bypassing the early game here a little bit in the ZvZ, jumping straight into the heat of Roach action in the mid game. Let's see how it develops, as we are going to be seeing the +1 missile upgrade, obviously on the way from both players at pretty similar time. Both even investing in pneumatized carapace as well. On such a large map, that is definitely something to watch out for, right? Because the pneumatized carapace is an upgrade where it gives them overlords the speed, and suddenly you can have your overlords wherever you need them to be on this very large map, because map control and map vision is going to be really, really important. Thank you so much, Comeback Kid, with the Twitch Prime sub as well. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Much appreciated. As you see, a Zergling there actually runs by, and a Baneling does blow up onto it, taking that Zergling down. Pneumatized carapace going to be finishing in a moment or so. Again, +1 missiles, roach speed continuing to come along. In the bottom right, we got this Overlord just hanging out, waiting to see what's next. Elazer morphing a Drop Lord up to the top side of the map as well. Obviously, it flies through into the main base, and you see this Queen dealing quite a bit of damage. So obviously, you're taking quite a few shots. The Drop Lord from Elazer starting to move forwards here a little bit. As to the bottom left-hand side of 4th hatchery, starting to set up now as well. Spore Crawler building in the corner. I kind of like it, right? Like, it kind of is that, you want to drop a Lord me? I'm going to have something to defend that you might not expect. They have an interesting spore placement, but that's generally what it's going to be for. That or it's something to cover for Mutalisks, but I mean, there's no Mutals on this map, and he isn't responding elsewhere or in other ways as though he thinks it's Mutalisk, so Serral actually takes the pocket 4th base. On the bottom left-hand side, Elazer takes his 4th base, and that linear position kind of happened on the last map too. Elazer expanded through the bottom side of Automaton, whereas Serral actually ended up taking that kind of forward 4th base and making his bases kind of set up in a bit of a square-like position. Not like a square, but like one of the lateral sort of shape. I don't know what the proper shape is. Anyways, 2 drones coming up here, and we are going to see those Roaches pushing those Zerglings away. 10 more Roaches on the way out from Serral, +2 missiles and +1 carapace on the way up. Same story from Elazer though. There were 70 workers apiece. Obviously, we're at this stage where, why on earth wouldn't you just build Roach Ravager? And that, because of kind of how fast we get here, we might see these players teching out of Roach Ravager a little faster than usual as well. It feels like with this much economy so early and so little pressure coming through, there's a real opportunity to maybe switch up in towards maybe some Hydralisks or so. This is a Baneling Dropper Lord heading in towards the natural Mineralite at the moment, and Serral has to surely be a little bit cautious of that. Does begin to pull away. The Queen's done some good damage. At some point, you just have to drop those Banelings no matter what, and he will get 3 of the 4 out for 2 drones. As the Queens will get that kill, but actually uses it as a distraction to kill extra drones as well. Zergling's picking up 4 more workers on that forward 4th base. A real good shutdown right there. Tunneling Claws gets contaminated. Good play by Serral as well, using that energy on the Overseer. That's going to be the Overseer getting killed off though. Didn't pull it away as he maybe should have done. Makes sense to contaminate Tunneling Claws than +2 missiles. I mean, I think you're in this situation where you say as Serral, I'm probably not going to hit before +2 finishes no matter what here, so let's try and, you know, block that Tunneling Claws and not have to deal with that for a few extra moments. Even if it is just a few extra moments, I mean, you may as well use the energy on something. I do think that was probably the better choice here rather than just diving for the upgrade. Because again, I think he's pretty sure he knows that he's not going to get far enough ahead on the upgrade for it to make a bit of a difference. Rocks in the center do go down. The Roaches and Ravagers of Serral. Ooh. A couple of them turned around to fight right there. So obviously we're just a little bit too close to the army of Elazer. As Elazer is moving in across the map. Some Zerglings once again. Gonna get a couple of drones. Meanwhile, Serral has picked up a few drones of his own. Not sure where that was. But let's turn and watch this main fight. Serral is in the concave though, and there's no way he loses this. Concave with Roaches and Ravagers trying to push through these rocks. I do not believe Elazer is even still trying to make this happen against Serral. Oh, here he is. He's still trying to push forward. I tell you what, Serral doesn't really have any Ravagers, though. That is kind of a big deal. It means he's missing out on quite a lot of damage. And Elazer is actually pushing through these rocks. No way. Well, Serral is now going to start talking down some of these Ravagers. As reinforcements come in, he will begin to stabilize. And even so, this sort of started out well from Elazer, it goes south real quick once he gets through those rocks. Just because Serral does have reinforcements coming in, and he is in the end going to kill off all of those Ravagers. Man, I'm surprised the Biles and the Ravager damage was able to do so much there from Elazer, being able to push through a choke point like that into Serral's concave. The upgrades were dead even, so that really was just a case of, hey, I have these Ravagers and they make things happen. Good call from Elazer to push through there. And Serral now is getting his Ravager count back up. You can see pretty similar number of units lost on either side. Pretty even game so far in terms of what was lost. And if we jump into the income tab, you can see Elazer has had a bit of an income lead though, just because Serral's had to pull drones at multiple times due to little bits of harassment. Tunneling Claw's now in play, but Serral has already split up to come and deal with this. On the bottom left-hand side, he has also got a Roach drop, which he's trying to put to use. Obviously, at the moment, just sitting in that Overlord, because, well, let's face it, these Roaches have to be dealt with over here. And Serral is just focused on that for the moment. Good move forwards, dodges those Biles somehow, and then he actually sits in a couple of his own Biles. Roaches and Ravagers going to keep pressing forwards, and Elazer is pushed backwards. So Elazer pushed back right now as Serral going to gather up onto his own fourth. Hive on the way down. A couple more drones dropping on the bottom left-hand side. Those Roaches having to hop up in towards that Overlord once again. Thanks so much, Dovenwolf, by the way, for the Twitch Prime sub for 21 months in a row. Much appreciated, dude. Thank you for the continued love and support of the channel. Elazer through the bottom side. Ravagers and Roaches just regathering, looking to come in from different angles once again here. The Hive on the way up on both sides of the map. And again, that Tunneling Claw's just about halfway done. Burrow is about halfway done too. These Roaches and Ravagers from Serral pressing in, and Elazer will have to continue pulling back over to the left. Roaches and Ravagers still gathering up together, and we do see the Hive on the way in from Elazer. And there's a little bit behind the Hive of Serral here, which he'll use to go into +3 upgrades. Looks like he's probably going in towards Lurkers very soon as well. Hydrogen on the way up. Probably see that Hive also being used for Vipers then. As we do see the Roaches and Ravagers here from Serral, able to fight off this army on the top very easily. The army on the bottom making no progress from Elazer either. Trying to gather this all together into one big fight, but it still feels Serral has the numbers on both sides of this. And that means that Serral's going to end up collapsed on this army of Elazer. Elazer's army supplies ahead, but only because he's already rebuilt, whereas Serral is waiting a little while maybe to decide what he wants to rebuild. Serral also investing some money into the +3/+2. He just add on a few more Roaches once again here, but he still has a lot of money in the bank. He has the lava as well, so he really is just sitting back and thinking, okay, what am I going to build? How am I going to build it? Uses his own Burrow and Tunneling Claws. Heals up those Roaches a little bit faster if they're burrowed, but also will actually send a good chunk of them across the map here. Did that underneath an Overlord of Elazer, so Elazer can't be completely in the dark about this, must have some idea that this is currently happening. Roaches and Ravagers of Serral still hanging out over to the right-hand side. Lurker Den dropping down here from Serral. A few more Hydralisks on the way up. Overseer into the main base. Going to get shot down. Serral just going straight into free upgrades. And Elazer not too far behind, but he is behind on a Carapace upgrade, so that's worth keeping in mind. Let's take a look at the numbers. Resources lost is way better for Serral once again by about 3,000. And again, he's just been mining a little bit more, nothing too crazy here. It's been pretty even in terms of income, but he has been taking these slightly better fights overall, able to rebuild very easily and comfortably. A couple of Hydras mixed into play as well as he moves towards Lurkers, and they are able to now start picking off a couple of these Overlords. The Roaches that were bowed across the map are going to reveal themselves and dive in, as Serral actually dives in towards a fight on top of these Roaches. He has way more Ravagers. We saw what way more Ravagers could do in an earlier fight here, and right now Serral's going to push on forwards. It's getting a little bit close because these Ravagers do take a bit of damage here and there. These Roaches on the bottom side, he has to pull away. I love that burrow, but he's turning into an Overseer, it would seem. Still pushing forwards over here on the bottom side. He just burrows on top of the Ravagers and will try and target those down. Serral now trying to back away with this army on the top, but he has to be careful because he can be cornered here. And those Hydras, they also don't move away that quickly. Burrows up with more Roaches on the bottom side. These units going to try and see what they can do. He darts back in, probably a move that Elazer is not expecting. Cost Elazer a few Roaches already, so it turns out to be a good play by Serral. He actually gets a lot of units here. He's able to join up these Roaches as well, so it's quite a force moving forwards. He's going to kill the Roach Roaring. Does have to deal with the counter-attack though. Elazer pressing forwards. It feels like Serral has plenty though already coming in from the bottom, top side, and the right-hand side. Coming straight through on top of this, and those Roaches and Ravagers have to pull away. Man, as more Roaches from Elazer move up in towards the natural expansion, it feels like Serral is just trading so very well at the moment. He will lose out on these units, but the units that he has rebuilding back at home, don't forget as well, that is the Lurker Den upgrade, the Tunneling Claws. It means that he is, the Digging Claws. It is going to mean that he's got Adaptive Talons. They changed the name of that so many times. Adaptive Talons coming up. It means those Lurkers can burrow and reposition more quickly, and that means that the Lurkers are really coming through here from Serral. And being up on Lurkers now against the Roach Hydra army is pretty good for him. No Lurker Den out of Elazer, and that's the issue. He's getting Hydras, but no Lurker Den to turn them into that very useful kind of continued unit that really will, again, kind of turn the tide of battles here. There's Elazer going to hang out over to the left side with Roaches and Hydras. On the bottom, some Roaches going to burrow through from Elazer as well. These Roaches going to burrow and press on down. And we are going to be seeing these Roaches of Elazer going to be able to fight quite nicely for a moment or two, but then Serral just has a little bit too much, and again, he's just able to pop up with too much every single time. These Lurkers are going to be able to burrow real now, going to be able to keep pressing forwards. Serral's force just looks scary. He's got more on the bottom, he's got more in the center. Not just more in the center, he's got better in the center with those Lurkers in play. Playing it patiently, can't go diving in. Finding some Vipers on the way up from Elazer, realizing the threat he's under, realizing he needs something to be able to deal with these Lurkers, and Vipers will be that. Ducts, Blinding Clouds, both very effective against those Lurkers, which are burrowed up and stuck in position for the most part. Changes going down here. These Lurkers are actually left alone. Serral does reposition to kind of set something up. He's actually making a huge move to the bottom side though. While his Lurkers were sacrificed, he uses them as a chance to get into position here. Now he's going to push up this little gap right now. And he's always just seemingly jumping on part of the army while leaving the other part of the army to fend and chase after as he runs one way or the other. Right now, Serral suddenly splits his army in two, and he's going to have two different forces now. Way too much. GG, well played is called, and Serral will take the series 2-1. And he will close the